Hi everyone, this is Angela from Spokane Public Library, and I'm back with another edition of Art Break. This week I'm focusing on using markers to create a very simple floral design. So if you want to join me, please do. We'll go over our supplies in a moment. Okay, so let's go over our supplies. So the most important supply for this idea is, of course, our markers. I'm using a couple different types of markers. I'm using just plain Crayola markers, and then I had this really old set of Martha Stewart markers. I got a really long time ago, like years ago. So I dug those out. They had some colors that I really liked, and they still work, so why not? So we've got our markers. I'll go over the colors that I used. So these are the colors that I used. The green is the Crayola marker, and then all the rest are the Martha Stewart markers. But use just what you have. If you have Crayolas, those work just fine with this. I just chose these because I like those colors. But I used a turquoise, that green color from Crayola, evergreen, glade, curry, and sepia for my little drawing. And then I also kind of drew out my objects or the shapes that I wanted to use in this composition. So just some very basic floral shapes. So this is obviously our main flower shape, a fern, some basic leaves, and another smaller floral shape with stems and leaves as well. Then you can see the little sample that I made. And once I finished this, I thought this would make a really cute card. So I made mine a second one, and I cut it up and made a card out of it. So I thought this would be great for Mother's Day, or it can be sent anytime really. And then on the inside, you can see I wrote Happy Mother's Day in it. But for this drawing, I used lightweight watercolor paper, but you can use just regular printer paper. That would work fine too if you just want to draw for fun. And I also have some like old scrapbooking paper that I used. But if you don't have that, if you have like a really cute wrapping paper, that would also work just fine too. And then I had a punch that kind of these flowers mimicked my main flower here, so I used that. But it's not necessary. And this was from a card set that I had that's really old that you can just use to decorate. But if you have paper that you can fold up and make up your own card, you can. Or if you just want to draw for fun, that's fine too. So we're going to get started here. I'm just working on a piece of lightweight watercolor paper, like my sample. And I'm starting with my dark yellow or orange color. It's that color that was called curry. And like I said, I'm not using pencil to draw my design out first. I just want to go straight into marker and just have some fun, not worry about being perfect. So I'm going to draw in the centers of my flowers first. So I'm just doing a few small round dots, kind of like in a triangular shape, like so. Then I'm going to my turquoise marker, and I'm going to start with my first flower, and I think this top one here is going to be my first flower. So this one's going to be in front of all the others. So I'm just doing like a really rounded triangular shape, and like I first make like a bow tie. And they don't need to be perfect. As you can see, mine aren't perfect at all. There's my first flower. I'm going to go in with this one on the left here. So same thing, except this one's going to be behind that first flower, so you're not going to see all of the petals completely. Okay, so there's my second flower, and here's my third flower. Okay, so I have my three main flowers, and I'll finish those off later. Now I'm going to go in with my lighter green color, and this is the color called Glade, and it's this color right here. And this is where I'm going to do that very basic leaf shape. And I'm going to vary the size and the details on all of these leaves, so it just looks a little more interesting since this shape is very simple. So from here, you just turn your paper and I would start with doing clusters of 3 to get started. And then you can go back and see where you might need more leaves. So just turn your paper when you need to. So right now it looks pretty silly, but once we get it all filled in, it'll look really cool. I'm even tucking some leaves behind the flower shapes. So vary the size, vary the detail on each leaf, and even add little stems. So I just did one pass. Now I'm going to go do a second and add more leaves, and just doing the same exact thing. Let's see. And the point is not to have it look completely the same on both sides. It's just to have a balance of leaves and shapes, overall shapes. So just keep on going until you feel satisfied with the amount of leaves. Might do some here at the bottom. Let's see how that looks. Okay, not bad. Now I'm going back to my yellow marker and I'm going to start making these little flowers here. And basically all these are little hearts. So super simple, just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go around my drawing and just add these little heart flowers, like so. And then for the leaves, for those, I'm using that dark green Crayola marker. And then I'm just doing a second tiny heart below that yellow heart. Just like that. And then for the stem, I'm just going to do a quick stroke. Kind of join those up a little bit, and then I'm going to add like little rounded leaves. And it's okay if they overlap the lighter green leaves. So just keep on doing that. Just quick strokes for the stems so you get a nice thin line, even if you're using like a really thick marker like the Crayolas. Alright, so now we're back to using that lighter green marker that we used for these main leaves. I'm going to add a few more leaves on this side. It looks a little thin on this side. So I'm just going to add a few more. And like you can fill out a whole page of these with tons of flowers and leaves, and that'd be really cool. But since I might turn this into a card, I'm going to try to keep it within a reasonable size. So now we have our green leaves done, and then we're going to that kind of yellow, that kind of olivey color. It's called evergreen. And that's the color I'm going to use for my ferns. And for those, I'm just going to do like a weird crooked line, like that. And with these, the fronds get progressively smaller as I get to the end of that line. And with these, it's easier to turn your paper as you go. So there's one. So you can see how if you start light and work darker, you can really layer things up and get a variety of colors and shapes to your floral composition. And that just makes it look more full. There's another crooked line. Just do some leaf shapes on that. All right, then I'm going to do another one right there. Fill those in. Okay. And then from here, you can keep on adding ferns if you wanted, or more of these little yellow flowers. But I think I'll stop there. And the last thing I did was to color in my main flowers. And I'll show you how I did that. So with my flowers here, the first flower I did is on the very top. And then this one, the second one, comes next, and this one down here is at the very bottom. So this one will be kind of in shadow, and it'll be darker in color. So the way I did that with markers is I colored the whole thing in like this, and then I went back over it and added another layer of color to it. And this is where having some watercolor paper is really nice, but this should just work fine with printer paper. Just make sure you don't press too hard, or else your paper might start to tear a little bit. So that color is going to be darker than like one coat on this flower up here. So you can see that in my example. This flower down here is behind this top one, so it's going to appear darker in color. So I did at least a couple coats of that color on that flower, but it's the same marker. And then my last little step or detail would be to go in with my brown marker. I'm just going to do some dots over the center like that. I kind of covered up the yellow, but oh well. So that's like the basic format for this little floral drawing. I hope you give it a try. It makes a really cute card if you want to make a card. Otherwise, it's just a lot of fun to draw. So I hope you take a chance and go and write with markers and have some fun with it. Thanks for watching.